Hi, I'm Katrina from the E-comm Copy Club, and in this short video we're just going to be going over how you can help your customers get over perceived barriers to boost your product sales. And we're going to use the Shaktimat as a great example of how this is done. First of all, what is a perceived barrier and what's it got to do with increasing sales? Well, a perceived barrier is really any reason why your customer would choose not to buy your product, which flips on its head a little bit about what we usually say in marketing, which is focus on the benefits and the values that your product brings your customer. Now we want to turn that over, look at, rather than the positive, we want to look at the negative. So obvious barriers are things like cost. So obviously if your cost doesn't match what your customer wants to pay for those benefits, you have to overcome those in some ways. Some ways they may not be your customers. Other things that you can do to overcome those barriers are using things like Afterpay or any of the split payment options. Another obvious barrier may be location. So it may not be available in their country. Or again, the shipping costs may make it too expensive to get it to their country. But what I'd like to think about is the other barriers to buying your products. And other barriers may be things like they perceive it being too difficult to use. So yes, they could get it, but actually, would it work? How would they use it? Does it actually meet their situation? So what's their perception of the ability and the ease of using it? Other things are ingredients. Is there an ingredient that they like, they don't like? Is there something that is trending at the moment? Ethics and value matching is another barrier. So for a brand or a product, does it help them achieve their values, live their life values? And as we'll talk about in the Shaktimat example, what is the perceived level of discomfort or pain in actually using the product itself? Now, if you can overcome these barriers, then obviously it doesn't become a barrier anymore. If your answer to the perceived discomfort or pain means that it doesn't become a barrier anymore, you're one step closer to making the sale. And we're going to use the Shaktimat as a great example of this. So what is the Shaktimat? Well, acupressure is a booming global trend at the moment. It's different to acupuncture, where they actually use needles into the skin. Acupressure uses things like these amazing little plastic spikes to put pressure on certain points in the body, which are supposed to be able to relieve pain, muscle aches, all those kind of things. Why am I using the Shaktimat as an example? Because I am having an absolute copywriting, marketing crush on their team at the moment. I think they are doing really, really well because they've got such an obvious barrier. Something's like totally getting in the way of their sales, and that is these little spikes. So you've got this acupressure product, and the first thing people are going to think of is, this is going to hurt. This is not going to be comfortable. And one of the primary drivers, that's really old part of our brain, is focused on survival. And survival generally involves avoiding pain. So to sell this product, the biggest perceived barrier that they have to overcome for their clients and their customers is the pain worth it? So their perceived and actual barrier is pain and discomfort. So if you think about it as a question, the question all their socials and their ads need to answer is, why should I put up with the pain and discomfort of using a Shaktimat? And that's what we're going to look at, how they've done this. So here is an example of one of their Facebook ads that they're running at the moment. And what they are doing is they're doing three things. They are acknowledging the problem, and the problem is pain. So the first few minutes will be uncomfortable as your body adjusts, so acknowledge it. They're educating. So this image here is telling them what's going on. So yes, it may be uncomfortable, but here, actually feel uncomfortable as the spikes push into the muscles. Yeah, that feels uncomfortable. 3 to 5 minutes, your skin gets warm. Ooh, warm's good, as natural circulation is encouraged. So it's telling you what's going on in your body. The discomfort disappears. Your muscles and mind become relaxed. And they're reminding us that good things don't come easy. So we're obviously looking at this to solve a problem. The problem is generally sore back, sore neck, muscle aches and pains. So what this advert does is names a problem. It will be uncomfortable. It educates them as to what's going on, and it reminds them that good things don't come easy. This is a post that they did, and so I have a Shakti mat, and I'm not sponsoring them. I'm not affiliate or anything like that. But yes, getting off the mat can feel a little daunting at first. So again, they've acknowledged the problem, acknowledged the barrier, they're educating them with some tips, and they're driving engagement with what's your technique of choice. So there's a slow peel off, there's a sideways roll is actually quite good. the quick peel. So they're sharing tips to overcome the barrier, and they're addressing again, acknowledging the fact that this is a perceived barrier. What they've also used is social proof in the form of a testimonial, a review from a customer, which reinforces what they've said. So this isn't them saying, this is somebody called Justin saying this, and saying it took me a couple of nights to adjust and get through the painful phase. So you can. This is saying that this is normal. People have got through it. It's okay. It's not that uncomfortable, actually, I have to say. I always end up feeling warm, relaxed and free of tension. So that's a transformation. So they've tailored, in this sequence, they've tailored the social proof to match the perceived barrier. And that's quite an important thing, because it's all very well you as the store owner saying, oh, it doesn't hurt that much, or these are how we do things. What really matters is when somebody else comes along and says it. That's really important. What they've done as well, and I would encourage you to go and stalk them if you want some good inspiration, because they use humour really well, and especially in their videos. So what does lying on a Shakti bed of nails actually feel like? So here's what to expect from the experience, and they've got the video. So again, acknowledgement of the barrier and using humour, using visual reinforcement, and saying how all these things always end in the ha moment. So they've got through the ooh, ow, and it's got over, so they've got the benefits. Acknowledgement. Does it hurt? Yes. Is it worth it? Yes. So again, they're educating and acknowledging, because yes, it's two sides, pain and bliss. You've got to experience one to recognise the other. Another aspect of the social proof is where they've obviously used these big printed media, Cosmopolitan, Yoga Journal, New York Times, etc. And they've used reviews from these magazines. So again, it's that social proof. Other people have bought it and they've survived the experience. As I said, acupressure is a massive trending search term at the moment. It just keeps going up and up, probably because all our backs are really dodgy from working from home, not having the right seats. So we've got these kind of bigger recognizable names saying simple but genius, the ultimate at-home wellbeing aid. So these are all things that will get us across the line. So what they've done in these adverts is they've taken their perceived barrier, which is pain, They've said why it's not a problem. Yes, you will have some discomfort, and they've educated you of why. They've then used social proof, they've used benefits, they've educated you, they've used humour to say why, yes, it's going to be uncomfortable, but you're going to be left with the ah moment. Your back's going to feel better, your muscles are going to relax. So all this comes together to reinforce that what you think is a barrier as a customer is not actually a barrier. It's okay. Now we can move on to the next thing, which might be price or delivery or all those things. So what can you do in practice? In practice, what I'd really encourage you to do, sit down with your products, choose your main ones at the beginning, and write down a list of all the barriers that somebody might put up to buying the product. And if you can overcome that barrier, tell them. If one of your benefits and your values of your product is that it prevents a perceived barrier, say it does this so you don't have to experience this. Or use those barriers in social ads, in social posts, in blogs, in videos, anything like that, to help show people that what they think of as a barrier isn't. So I hope you found that useful. Go and write your list.